Hi, it's that time of year. Time to start thinking about the metrics and the KPIs that you're going to manage yourself to and manage your sales force to the rest of the year. Let me ask you a question. If there was a metric, if there was a KPI that was so powerful that it drove the kind of behaviors that you want for yourself as a salesperson, and your sales manager didn't even know about this KPI, would you still use it? If it made you more successful, if it was easy to manage, easy to track, and had lots of uses throughout your business and your world, I, I think you would. Now, if you're a sales manager, wouldn't you want your sales teams using that kind of a KPI? Hi, I'm Mark Boundy. I wrote Radical Value, which is a book about getting simple and getting back to the basics of selling value, because value is what customers buy. And it happens to be that value is what salespeople are the worst at selling. Let's define value so you can see what I mean. Value is the desirability of the customer's outcome the customer achieves from doing business with you. Customers don't buy your product or your service or your solution or your features or your benefits. They buy their own outcomes for their own reasons. And the value is the desirability of those outcomes. And so if you don't have a clear understanding of their outcomes and how badly they want them, you're guessing in sales. You're absolutely guessing. And so if you focus on the outcomes that the customer wants and expects, you're going to be a lot more successful. So how about a KPI that tracks how much value the customer perceives that they're going to be buying? And so I've got a KPI for you to consider. It's called deal winning value. And you can also call it, for the customers who don't like the word deal, I'll call it opportunity winning value. And there's a couple aspects to it. It must be customer acknowledged. It must be customer quantified. And it must be the desirable outcome from doing business with you. And it must significantly exceed the customer's perceived cost of adoption, which is your price plus the risk of adoption. A lot of software has a really alarming project failure rate. And so you have to calculate the customer's perceived risk of failure into the perceived cost. And as a matter of fact, if you can get the customer to perceive a lower risk, you can actually charge a higher price for the exact same solution based on an assuredness that they will get those outcomes. So deal winning value, customer acknowledged, quantified, desirable outcome from doing business with you that significantly exceeds the costs of adoption. Let's go through those one at a time. Customer acknowledged. Your numbers mean nothing until they exist in the customer's head. The outcomes mean nothing until the customer envisions them and connects them as a desirable outcome from doing business with you. If it's customer acknowledged and they connect it with to your solution, then you're doing a great job. Second thing, it must be quantified. So it's not enough to say that, yes, buying you solves this problem. You have to go further. And that is, how many dollars is this problem? So if I'm going to be pricing something in dollars, I better have the benefit in dollars. So you need to quantify that, and it has to be customer quantified. The third thing is that it has to significantly exceed the perceived cost of adoption. I already talked about perceived risk. And so you want to make sure that you understand all of the risks the customer perceives and all of the costs the customer perceived in addition to your pricing. So if you have achieved all of those three things, then you have achieved the deal winning value. Our value in this, for this customer, for this opportunity, is high enough so that it is going to win the deal. It's highly likely to win the deal. So what's so great about that? What kind of behaviors does a KPI or a metric like this drive? Let me show you. The using it, you can use that as a sales manager, or use it if you're managing yourself in your opportunity reviews. If you're thinking about a deal and wondering if you can win it, ask how much value you've identified and who else you need to talk to identify more until there's enough value to exceed the perceived cost of doing business with you. Every manager I ever had said, get in first, be that trusted advisor, get in before the RFP, get in before they've invited every other, any other salespeople. Those are really valuable things to do. And we don't always get there, but if you have it, you know that you're in a really powerful position. Same thing if you get in before an RFP and you've either roughly estimated value or actually accurately through the customer's definitions and the customer's quantification scored your value with the customer. That means that RFP isn't just one that came in blind that you didn't know about. It's one that the customer already understands why they've included you on the RFP distribution and why you're probably already a finalist. So it helps us to understand whether or not we should be scoring an RFP, how high we should be scoring, how much effort we should be putting into an RFP response. Of course, it also improves our forecasting. Today's forecasting is we've gotten to stage 4 in the sales cycle, which means we're going to arbitrarily give it a 70% chance of winning. Versus if it's value-based, we achieved deal winning value by stage 2 of this deal, and we've confirmed it at every stage. And now we're in stage 4. We think that we have an 80 or 90% chance. Or of course, we've been trying to confirm value with this customer. We've not been able to confirm value or get the customer to quantify value. And we've already reached stage 4. I'm not sure where we sit. Those 2 opportunities, those 3 opportunities are all in stage 4. Arbitrarily at 70%. I've identified value way back in stage 3. That's a 90, 95% deal. I still don't know my value. That's way less than 70%. So your forecasting gets much more accurate if it's informed by how much value the customer has quantified. And of course, your price negotiations become a lot easier if you've identified value in excess of your cost. Then price becomes a lot less important, which means it is your justification for ROI. The logic of how you built that value is the logic of how you build that ROI justification. Finally, after you win, think about account reviews. And instead of starting the account review with, let's talk about all the problems we've had this quarter, what if you started that account review saying, we expected to have $7 million in benefit per year. And this quarter, we've actually gotten 1.2 million, which is way less than the 1.75 we expected every quarter, but we've got 1.2. And so let's spend some time, and that's far in excess of what you've spent, which was, $700,000. So we've already paid back the initial investment, but so let's talk a little bit about how we can get that 1.2 to what we all thought it was going to be. How can we do that together? So what is the tone set there versus starting off that account review with, let's have a 3-hour whining session with the customer. So using that deal winning value drives elite selling behavior, drives customer alignment, aligning with the customer and their business needs, drives selling. It drives when we measure deal winning value by sales stage, getting in early. It drives having an early impact, which is that super valuable elite selling behavior that every sales manager wants every one of their salespeople to practice. It improves the forecast. What sales manager or salesperson doesn't like that? It makes your ROI and your business case super easy because you've been building it the entire time. And the customer has been buying into the logic behind your ROI calculator the entire time. So rather than having that horrible battle of the assumptions in my spreadsheet, it becomes easy. And finally, merchandising your success on an ongoing basis, getting the customer to feel great about having chosen you to do business with because you're delivering the outcomes they expected. So that's my pitch for using a new metric, a new KPI, deal winning value in your selling organization, in your personal selling practice. If you want to know more about value and how to sell it, how to quantify it, feel free to pick up my book, Radical Value. And if you'd like to talk with me a little bit, I do consulting as well, and I'm happy to talk with you about it. You can reach out to me at mark@boundyconsulting.com. Thanks and have a high value day.